Grade 10 American System, SAT, Active and Passive Voice. Good morning, Grade 10. How are you today? Hope you're all doing well. Our lesson is about the active and passive voice. We will start with the active voice. What is an active voice? It is a sentence formed of a subject that performs an action or actions expressed by the verb. For example, she delivers the letters. She is the subject, delivers is the verb, and the letters is the object. The focus in this sentence is an SVO or subject-verb-object, in which we focus on the subject that is the doer of the action, then we move on to the action done by this subject. The passive voice. What is the passive voice? It is a sentence when the subject is a receiver of the action expressed by the verb, not a doer of an action. For example, the letters are delivered or the letters are delivered by her. In the given example, the subject letters receives the action expressed by the verb delivered. We can realize here that the focus is on what happened to the subject, not who did the action. On the other hand, the doer of the action is unknown, so the sentence could be with, by her, or without it, in which you can say the letters are delivered or the letters are delivered by her. In some other cases, the doer of the action is not important or unclear, so it could also be removed. In order to understand the active and the passive voice, you have to understand the difference between these two voices. The active sentence is formed of a subject, an action verb, and an object in which the focus is on the subject or the doer of the action. Let's have a look at the given example. Sam collects stamps. The focus is on Sam, the subject of the sentence, and the doer of the action. On the other hand, in the passive voice sentence, the sentence is formed of a subject that is a receiver of the action, an auxiliary or a helping verb to be in its different forms, plus a main verb, and a prepositional phrase formed of by plus the doer of the action. Let's have a look at the given example. The stamps are collected by Sam. The stamps, as we can see, is the subject of the sentence, but it's not the doer of the action. So the focus here is on the action done, not on who does this action. Rules of conversion from active to passive voice. In order to change an active voice sentence into a passive voice sentence, you have to follow several steps. First of all, you have to identify the subject, the verb, and the object of the active voice sentence. Second, you have to change the object of the active voice sentence to become the subject of the passive voice sentence. Then you have to use the auxiliary or helping verb be in the correct form of the given tense. Fourth, change the main verb into the past participle. And fifth, add the preposition by and change the subject into an object. Examples of conversion for the present tense. We will start with the simple present. Active voice sentence. Anna writes poems. In order to change the given sentence into the passive voice, we have to change the place of the object, poems, to become the subject of the sentence. Then we add the auxiliary verb be in its correct form that follows the present tense. So we use are as a suitable helping verb after the subject because poems is in the plural form. After that, we change the main verb write into the past participle form, written. Then we add the prepositional phrase by Anna because the doer of the action is known, and we get the given sentence, poems are written by Anna. Now let's move on to the present progressive. The active voice sentence is, they are eating apples. In order to change the given sentence into the passive voice, we have to change the place of the object apples to become the subject of this sentence. We also use are with the subject apples because it's in the plural form. Then we add being that represents the progressive form, and we change the main verb eat into the past participle form eaten. The prepositional phrase in this sentence is optional because the doer of the action is unknown. So the sentence becomes apples are being eaten or apples are being eaten by them. The third example of conversion for the present tense is the present perfect that is represented by have or has plus past participle. The active voice sentence is he has completed the work. In order to change it into the passive voice sentence, it becomes the work has been completed or the work has been completed by him. Why did we change this sentence in this way? First of all, the work in the first sentence is the object, so we take it as the subject in the passive voice. Then we realize that it's used in the singular form, so we keep has as it is. Been is used in order to express the perfect form, and completed that is already used in the past participle, but because it's a regular verb, so it takes ed, there is no change in it. By him is optional because the doer of the action is unknown, so either we say the work has been completed by him or the work has been completed. Now we'll start with examples of conversion for the past tense, but before we move on, let's keep in mind that the auxiliary verb be must be used in the form that follows the tense. The first one is the past simple. The active voice sentence is he bought a book. In order to change this sentence into the passive voice, a book must be used as the subject of the sentence. Then we have to use the suitable form of verb be in the past, was or were. In this case we choose was because a book is singular. Then we move on to the main verb bought, and we keep it as it is because the past participle of the verb buy is bought. The prepositional phrase in this case is optional because the doer of the action is unknown. So the sentence becomes a book was bought or a book was bought by him. The second one is the past progressive. The active voice sentence is Mary was washing the shirt. In order to change this sentence, the shirt should become the subject of the sentence. In this case also we have to use was because the shirt is singular. Being should be added in order to represent the progressive form. Wash becomes washed because it's a regular verb and it takes ed. The prepositional phrase is needed because the doer of the action is well known. So the sentence becomes the shirt was being washed by Mary. The third one is the past perfect. The active voice sentence is they had won the match. In order to change this sentence into the passive voice, the match should become the subject of the sentence. Had stays as it is because it's in the past. Been should be added in order to represent the perfect form, and won is the past participle of the main verb win. The prepositional phrase, as we said previously, is optional because here also the doer of the action is not known. And the sentence becomes the match had been won or the match had been won by them. Now we'll move on to examples of conversion for the future tense. The first one is the simple future. The active voice sentence is Martin will finish the invention. To change it into the passive voice, the invention becomes the subject of the sentence. Then we move on to will. We keep it as it is. Verb to be is used in the infinitive form, plus the past participle of the main verb finish as finished because it's a regular verb. We form it in this way because, as we all know, the change from the active into passive voice is represented by the use of verb be in the correct form of the tense plus the past participle of the main verb. By Martin is also added because the doer of the action is known. The sentence becomes the invention will be finished by Martin. The second one is the future perfect. The sentence is Edward will have received the letter. In the passive voice, the sentence changes into The letter will have been received by Edward. The letter is the subject. Will have stay as it is. Been is the verb to be that is used as been in order to represent the perfect form, and received is the past participle of the verb received because it's a regular verb. By Edward is added because the doer of the action is known. So we get this sentence, the letter will have been received by Edward. In conclusion, when a sentence is written in the active voice, the subject performs the action, in which the focus will be on the doer of this action. While in the passive voice, the subject receives the action, so we focus on what has happened to this subject, not who did the action. The second thing that we have to keep in mind is that whenever we want to change an active voice sentence into the passive voice sentence, the passive voice is made up of an auxiliary verb be in the correct form of the given tense in the sentence with the past participle of the main action verb. Assignment: you are kindly requested to solve the practice sent on the group, and for any question don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.